All right, today we're going to take a look at the 2015 Doc Brown from Back to the Future, end of part one, and then essentially this is part two, I guess, if you were going technically by the box and the license. But it looked like this at the end of part one, so you can go one or two, it doesn't matter. Anyway, comes with a friggin' newspaper. I think that's pretty cool, but Doc Brown is a character that NECA has nailed the likeness when it comes to releasing this guy. And it's only, like I said, a small scale. It's a 7-inch scale. Very affordable at $30 a pop with a lot of accessories. This Doc Brown comes with 3 alternate heads. He comes with his 2015 outfit, and then the 3 heads, which would be, I dig the futuristic glasses. We can get it to focus here. He's got the futuristic glasses. Then he comes with an alternate head instead of them making glasses that you can take on and off, which I do like for this doc that they made the glasses permanently on, and they just gave you an alternate head that's an exact copy without the glasses, so that's cool. Then the 3rd head that came in the package is this guy, and this is going to be, for me, it reminds me of the end of part 1, and at the end when he's, he gets caught up with his leg here, and he connects the wire, and Marty goes back in time, and he's all happy and dancing and celebrating. He makes this kind of happy, goofy smirk a few times, so it's probably from part 2. I'm just misplacing it. But it reminds me of the end of part 1, where he does the happy dance. The reason why he's on this body is I want to showcase the versatility. I don't think that's the right word. I want to showcase how much use you can get out of the alternate heads, which I think this is something that NECA does on purpose, and I give them a lot of credit. Sometimes they have completely dropped the ball, and they have the same character, and when they redo it, for some reason, some of the parts you can't mix and match. But for Marty and now Doc, you can mix and match the parts. So if you got part 1 already, and you for some reason like the head that comes with part 2, like this with glasses, this is always going to go on the part 2 body. However, this smile and or this head, the head that came with Doc for part 1 was similar to this with a wound when he hit his head. I might as well bring him over. So here's part 1 Doc with the bandage from hitting his head. I got lucky. I found 2 Doc Browns at Walmart for $11, the part 1. So I grabbed doubles because at $11, it doesn't make any sense to leave them there. Anyhow, and knowing that they got a lot of alternate heads, it is essentially, I guess this would be the most relaxed. The biggest difference would be the hair color. It's a more blonde look, and this is a more white look for the part 2. So I kind of dove right into the idea that you can use the heads, confirming you can use the heads from part 2 and put it on the part 1 Doc. But I want to show you one of my favorite accessories with part 2. I think there's 3 things that I love the friggin' most about this part 2 Doc. And he goes with part 2 Marty great. But the ridiculous look, iconic look from Back to the Future Part 2. This is obviously one of the big draws to getting Doc Brown. Something I didn't know was, and I'm including the glasses, the trench coat, and this ridiculous tie, so clear tie. These little clear, they're very hard plastic, so they do stand up. They're not warped and all bent all over the place, but be real careful with them. They make his shoes look all ridiculous and futuristic. However, they are fragile. They look silver, but they also look like they're made out of just clear plastic. But when you glance at them, they look silver, so it's real trippy. But anyhow, that's really cool. Just his shoes, his look. But one of the coolest aspects, and I do have to mention, we'll look at it in a second, but his watches on the first dock were sculpted into his hand. So this is part 1 dock. His watches are sculpted into his hand. But part 2 dock, his watches are separate pieces. So you can take his hands off and you can take his watches off. Not really sure why they, Actually, I think I do know why now that I'm looking at it. Because his sleeves, there might have been no point to that, and it might have just been problematic to have bulky watches that they can put under, that sleeve. Anyway, so you get the 2015 dock. You get I guess it's the same head, but I'm going to call it the stunned. Is he stunned? Is he thinking, contemplating? You get the contemplating head. You get the futuristic sunglass head, and then you get the happy head. So you get Doc, 3 heads. You get 2 alternate hands where you can have, I'm lying, I'm holding up something else. You can have just open hands, a right and a left. And then you get these 2 newspaper holding hands. That's what I assume they are. Either the newspaper or, and here's the newspaper, which is really cool. I would imagine you can even fold it down. So it comes in one piece, but I don't think there's any harm in folding it down. I don't know if it was folded in the show, but I think it just looks more natural when it's folded. Anyway, you get the newspaper. And then my favorite accessory, I don't know what it is, but I think this accessory is friggin' wild. I remember as a kid, I always wanted a little suitcase of different money. Now, obviously, he uses this to go back in time. And I knew I didn't want it in real life because it would be ridiculous. I don't need money from all these different points of time. But I always wanted like just the suitcase as like a movie replica. I don't know what it is because keep in mind, I'm a young kid. I don't know how many little kids go, that's so cool, I want that. Like just that, just to have that from the movie. You could fill it with real money, that'd be even better, but still. Now, we do get it, but it's in like a miniature version. Whoops. So we have emergency cash. Come on now. Emergency cash. It's got that silver paint on it. And then you open it up. It's got a hinge. Open it up, and it's got the money. Now, if you look hard enough, it's a little disappointing because the numbers repeat themselves. Maybe that's on purpose, like 1864, he needs a lot of money, so he's got 2 slots. I got to go back and look on the show in the movie. Maybe it's like that. I feel like NECA is real good with screen accurate the best they can. So, like, look, 1864, that's the same thing. 1864. We have 1863, but it's like a really small little version of money. I'll have to look that up. Maybe they did go from small to bigger. But look, this is 1864, and it's even a like different color. 1861 is doubled here. 1914 is tripled. 1923, we got 34. We got any other doubles? But you can see there's doubled up. Yeah, 1914, 1875. All right, so that looks like 1985 and 1955. Those are the most important because that's right from the movie. I thought that was a little lazy, but maybe the movie's like that. I don't know. But this is cool. I love this edition. And this was when they went to the future. I'm trying to remember. I just watched this again with my daughter. But they went to the future. And he pulled out the newspaper. And he was like, yo, your kid goes to jail. We need to stop it. Then they stop it. They interfere with stuff. Biff goes back in time. And then they realize they have to go back to 1955. So that's when he pulls this out, if I remember right. So he pulls this out. I don't even know if he's in this outfit or what. I'm gonna have to go back and look. He may still be in this outfit. Anyhow, so that's everything that comes with him. Here is the box, and there's a sneak peek of the next part 2 Back to the Future figure that's coming out. The box is essentially the newspaper, that little miniature newspaper from the movie, which is kind of cool. And then when you open it up, you have the artwork, you have the figure here. On the back of the box, you have Marty painted really well. I mean, that's probably one of the best looking Martys there. You got Doc from part 1, 1955 Doc. You've got Biff from 1955. And then here's Marty from 2015. And then here's Biff, well, it's Griff from 2015. They've never showed his face off. I think they only shown his scooter so far, his hoverboard, sorry. So this is the next Back to the Future figure that's coming out. So this is a good set so far. The ones not on this would have to be, I think, the spacesuit one, and that's probably it, right? Because they got 2 Martys, they got 2 Docs now, the old Biff, and then the Griff. So, yeah. So that's the back of the box. Yeah, it looks like that has the same thing too with the money. But anyhow, I guess we'll do some articulation real quick. You got your usual, if you have part 1 Doc, it's real similar with the articulation. This is pliable. I'd be careful though. Something about this reminds me of the Marty vest, and some vests had a little bit of chipping with the paint. But it's kind of got like a metallic shine to it, like a really dull metallic shine. You got this trench coat with some design on the inside. You get this wild red shirt with the clear see-through tie. And he's got real weird crotch area here. I'm not really sure what's up with that. But he does have the better articulated hip joints that NECA has done for Back to the Future and a couple of other lines. I wish they incorporate that into more of their stuff. His arms do get a good bend, even though it's only single jointed. Good bend there. You get a really good bend here. I mean, they did a good job on him and the Thing release for McCready. Really good bends, and you don't need the double jointed for Doc. You just don't. You have double jointed for Doc here. Let's do a little test. You got double jointed for Doc, and you tell me what you think and you prefer. It's nice to be able to go up a little bit higher and do things, but some people don't like how that looks. I'm not really sure. You know, honestly, I don't necessarily mind, especially since it's so wrinkly. I don't really mind. I think this might stand out a little more if it was double jointed, so maybe that's why they didn't do it. Because this kind of blends in really good. But you are losing a little bit of that articulation. So I'm cool with it. I think it's fine, because the only time he's going to lift his hands is when he's doing the newspaper, or I can't even think of why I would want his arms lifted up more. But his arms do go up normal. You can go up and back as far as you need. What else? The wrist has a really deep hinge and then a swivel. Same thing with the bicep. You get a swivel and a hinge. There's a waist. What do we have here? There is an ab crunch. And you actually get some crunch there. So you can do something with a crunch. And then, obviously, the swivel. Yeah, he can get some side to side as well. So he's kind of going sideways there. And then the knee bend here. His leg comes up some. Knee bend here. I'm going to be careful of this. You got to be careful of this when you're bending this foot. It's fragile. I wouldn't mess with it too much. Just be careful posing him. But it's got a bit of a... I that a bit loud? That doesn't sound good. Anyway, you got swivel at the top of the thigh. Yeah, it's real stiff and creaky. I don't know about all that. Sorry. It's just real stiff and creaky. He doesn't got a lot of bend in his legs. I don't need him to do much, though. So I'm not really sure if that's going to be a problem for some of you. I mean, he gets a bend. So it's not... He doesn't have to go into Spider-Man poses here. And then you have the swivel here, where the brown meets the green. Is that a sock? I do love the detail with the shoelaces. The red pops. It's wild matching with the green, but it's actually a little piece of sculpted plastic. It's not loosely sculpted. See how it is on this foot here? It's like a glued on piece of sculpted shoelace there. I don't know. It looks like licorice, don't it? Then you got the weird design of his shoes. I don't know. That's wild. He's got a bunch of like magnets or something on his shoes. And then, like I said, be careful of... Yeah, that swivels up there, but be careful of... You can get a rocker here. Just be careful when you're doing this. If you can get it to clear his leg. I don't know. Just be careful, because that's really fragile. A piece of hard plastic. All right. And we'll take his arm off just to show you. The watch comes off. And I am assuming the reason they did this is in fact because of the sleeve. Now that I look at how bulky it is, it wouldn't be pleasant getting this jammed in there. So you got both of those watches. You don't need to see this one off, do you? It's just a separate, and it is a separate piece. See? I forgot. He's got the little binoculars as well. It's a real thin, skinny little piece, so don't lose that. But let's take a look before we shut this down. Let's take a look at the different head sculpts on Doc, and these all come with the Part 2 Doc. And like I said before, you can put them on the Part 1 Doc. The only one that won't make sense is this switch out. So you have the regular... I don't know. To me, he looks like he's questioning what's going on. He's like, oh no. And then we have the same sculpt with the sunglasses, futuristic glasses, and I freaking love this look. And then we have the Happy Doc. I will give you a little bit of a warning here, though. I just noticed my Happy Doc has a little bit of a smudge on his face. That's not good. A little bit of a warning, though. I did warm this head up, and I popped it on the Part 1 body because I personally think this Happy face, for some reason for me, it just goes better on the Part 1 Doc. But I want to take a look here because I popped it on, and now it feels a bit loose. It seems like Part 1 is just a touch bigger, don't it? Like just a touch bigger. Because now when I put it on Part 2, it is really just kind of floppy. If you ever have that problem, just hit this with a hairdryer for like 10 seconds. A lot of this soft rubber will go back to the shape that it was in. Like if you ever get a figure and something's wrong, like misshapen, maybe it was crushed in the production somehow. Predators oftentimes, if they have little sculpt that juts out, or aliens, any of the NECA figures, if it's the soft material, Batman, like his ears, for example, hit it with a hairdryer and it will tighten right back up. I don't know, it goes back to its original position. Anyway, so that's real floppy. I don't really care though, because I'm going to pop it on. There we go. And the heads pop off and on real nice. But I don't care, because I'm going to pop the happy head onto part 1. And that's going to be my dock, my extra dock for part 1, because that fits nicely. I am loving the Back to the Future line. This is the first time that anyone's ever done something to this, you know, that I know of. I know, yeah, I don't think they've ever made a Marty. And I'm not talking about like garbage, you know what I'm saying? Like really garbage looking, I don't know, Legos or some kind of kid's toy. This stuff looks like real collectibles, like from the movie. Something that you could throw up there, and it's like a 3D poster. It's got that screen accurate look. I love it though. So I can't wait for Griff, and that'll give us another lineup for 2015. And I hope they continue it with something. I don't know. It'd be interesting. You guys leave your thoughts and opinions below. What do you want to see show up next? And maybe I'll do that video. Someone asked me about Marty for the articulated head back there. Not the articulated head, the alternate head back there. Maybe I'll do that next.